You know, most stories, they've got a clear beginning, a middle, and an end, right? But what about the ones that don't? The ones that just stop. They leave you with a giant question mark hanging in the air. Well, those are exactly the kinds of chilling stories we're diving into today.
Yeah, some mysteries are so strange, so unsettling, they become the stuff of legend. And our first one? Oh, it's a doozy. It starts out as just a normal hiking trip, but it ends in a way that is just pure, terrifying chaos.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1959. 9 really experienced hikers head out into Russia's Ural Mountains. And they just never come back. When the rescue team finally finds their camp, the scene makes absolutely no sense. I mean, their tent was sliced open from the inside. Some of the hikers were found barefoot in the freezing snow miles from camp. Others had these massive internal injuries, the kind you'd get from a car crash, but with not a single scratch on the outside of their bodies. And the craziest part? Some of their clothes had traces of radiation on them. So really, what in the world could have happened out there?
I mean, the Dyatlov Pass Incident is just terrifying, right? But that was a relatively small group. Believe it or not, history has even bigger mysteries. Cases where it's not just a few people, but entire communities that seem to have just vanished into thin air.
Let's talk about the Lost Colony of Roanoke. So, in 1587, you've got over 100 English settlers. We're talking men, women, and children, who set up a colony on this island. A supply ship is supposed to come back for them. When it finally returns, 3 years later, there's nothing. I mean, nothing. No people, no bodies, no clue that there was ever a fight. The whole settlement had just disappeared.
The only thing they found, the only clue, was a single word carved into a post: CROATOAN. What does that even mean? Was it a message? Some kind of warning? It was the name of a nearby island, sure, but we still have no idea. It's just this one single cryptic word where an entire community used to be.
And you see a really similar mystery out at sea, the Mary Celeste. It was found just floating, completely abandoned in the Atlantic in 1872. And the ship itself was in perfect shape. Check this out. It had 6 months of food and water. The cargo was totally intact. The crew's personal stuff was all there, but everyone was gone. The captain, his wife and daughter, all 7 crewmen. Vanished. The only thing missing, a single lifeboat. Why on earth would they leave a perfectly good ship in the middle of the ocean?
So you gotta ask yourself, what's more unsettling? A whole colony of people just disappearing from solid ground, or an entire crew vanishing from a ship in the middle of nowhere? Both are just deeply creepy, right?
All right, so sometimes the mystery isn't about where people went, but what came down to us. Let's shift gears now. We're gonna look up, away from the Earth and into the sky, to talk about some seriously strange and powerful events that seem to have come from way, way up there.
Okay, look at this number: 80 million. That is how many trees were flattened in an instant, just wiped out over hundreds of square miles in Siberia, way back in 1908. They call it the Tunguska Event, and the blast was something like 1,000 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Just insane. But the question is, what caused it?
And this is where it gets really weird. For an explosion that huge, you'd expect a massive crater, right? Of course you would. But investigators found 0. Not a single one. An asteroid, a comet, something should have left a hole. But there's just nothing. Just miles and miles of flattened trees, all pointing away from a completely empty center.
Fast forward a few decades, and now we're not just looking at the sky, we're listening to it. So in 1977, a radio telescope picks up this incredibly powerful, really specific signal coming from deep space. It was so out of the ordinary that the astronomer who saw it just scribbled "wow" on the printout. It lasted for a full 72 seconds, looked exactly like what you might expect from an alien broadcast, and then it was gone, and we have never, ever heard it again.
Okay, so let's bring it back down from the skies to Earth, back to mysteries that we can literally hold in our hands, but that we still can't figure out. These are the kinds of puzzles that just sit there and taunt us, right from the pages of history.
Take a look at this. It's called the Voynich Manuscript. It's this medieval book, centuries old, and it's filled with these super weird drawings of plants that nobody can identify. But the real kicker is the writing. It's written in this beautiful, flowing language that no one can read. I mean, the best cryptographers in the world with supercomputers have thrown everything they have at it and have gotten nowhere. Is it a lost language? A really, really elaborate prank? Or is it something else entirely?
And then there's maybe one of the strangest events in history: the dancing plague of 1518.
It starts in July with just one woman, who starts dancing uncontrollably in the street. A week later, 34 other people have joined her. A month later, that number has ballooned to 400 people. And they literally couldn't stop. They just danced and danced for days on end, until dozens of them just died. From heart attacks, strokes, just pure exhaustion.
I mean, doctors back then had no idea what was going on. And honestly, we're not much closer today. Was it some kind of mass hysteria, a bizarre, unknown disease, or something else entirely? What could possibly make hundreds of people literally dance themselves to death? It's a question that just hangs there, you know?
So you see, our world is just full of these questions that linger, these echoes from a past that's never really been settled. And some of these are so famous, they're a part of our culture, but they're still just as baffling.
Like, of course, you've got the Bermuda Triangle, right? That infamous stretch of the Atlantic where ships and planes are said to just vanish. Poof, gone without a trace.
Or how about something really strange, like the Taos hum? It's this low-pitched humming sound in a town in New Mexico that only a tiny fraction of people can even hear. For everyone else, there's just silence. We have no idea what causes it.
And let's end on this one, the Somerton Man. He's found on a beach in Australia back in 1948. No one knows who he is, all the labels are cut out of his clothes. The only thing in his pocket is a tiny scrap of paper that says Tamam Shud, which means it is finished. Turns out it was torn from a book that contained a super cryptic code, and to this day, no one has ever been able to crack it. So, you know, from entire colonies that vanish to strange signals from space, all these stories remind us of one simple thing. Not everything gets a neat, tidy ending. They show us just how much we don't know and really challenge our need for answers. You start to realize that history isn't just about what we know for sure, it's also a map of all the giant blank spaces. And maybe, just maybe, it's those unanswered questions that make for the very best stories.